Thank you, ma'am.
Hey.
Hello.
Good afternoon. So many of you we know. Is your mic on?
Is my mic on?
No, it's not on.
Now it's on.
There we go.
Yay.
Good afternoon. Some of you we know, many of you we don't, but by the end of this presentation, we will either be fast friends or you will never want to see us again. We always tell people before we start our presentations, once you see this, you can't unsee it. So, if you feel like you need to leave, we will not hold it against you.
We also talk about, as Watchmen, we're Watchmen, right? And the minute I tell you that something's going on, it's now our obligation to go tell our brothers and sisters, right? Because we're not going to win this war by ourselves.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah, and really the genesis for this presentation, guys, started here in Naples last May. I was on a panel on AI, and during that panel, I made a comment, and I said, the reason that you are afraid of AI is because the biblical worldview and moral compass is almost non-existent. But you could fix that overnight with your relationships, your resources, and your energy, if you are willing to make the effort. So that started a whole bunch of things that Father apparently wanted to happen, because a couple of weeks after that, Keith Flaw from Florida Citizens Alliance calls me and says, hey, I want to give you some feedback on your presentation there, which, of course, thanks to you. But after that, he said, look, we need to do something here. We need to fight and solve this problem. And that was the birth of the AI in Education Symposium that Watchmen Action now partners with Florida Citizens Alliance on. That also started us on a path of talking to people about AI. As you'll learn more about us in a minute, our business is driven heavily by AI. So what's it like to be a Christian in the technology business in a world that really isn't our friend? Well, as most good Christians should, we took a step up and said, we're going to tell them the truth. We're going to let them know what's happening and what they can do about it. But please keep that statement in mind from last year. The reason that people are afraid of AI is because the biblical worldview and moral compass is almost non-existent. But we can fix it overnight if we're willing to make the effort. Everybody good? All right, so, question we always get, who are these folks?
So I will start. RC and I are husband and wife. We met 11 years ago. We just celebrated our 7th-year anniversary. Yay! I always say that if we can make it past the 10 years, we're good. You know what I'm saying? But when we met, we were both doing competitive intelligence and market research for our clients. Right? So we decided, hey, you know what, if we're going to get married, or obviously we're partnering and we're going to start talking to our people about what's going on, we decided to build some technologies that allowed us to do all this market research. Right? And as we're working with our clients, we started seeing things that we were like, oh my gosh, if we don't start talking to people about what's going on here, right, nothing's going to change. So we started our first publication called From the Headlines about 3 years ago. And that talked about what the news is saying, what the news is not saying, what's important, what's not important, right? What we need to know as the people. And then after we were doing more research, we were seeing things like transhumanism, one world religion, one world government, the war on women, what they were doing with children, okay? And we said, hold up a second. Now we have to stand in the gap for Father because what you're doing is so against our biblical principles, right? And I said, we're not doing this. So we started a second publication called Watchmen on the Wall. And the reason why we did that was to be able to support people who were saying, you know what, these things are happening. You need to stop gaslighting me and telling me that I don't see what it is that I'm looking at. Because it's very clear what's happening here. And as a market research company, we were saying, you know what, if we're not standing in the gap, how does somebody say, you know, I'm seeing things, and if somebody else is blind, they can't say, hey, I'm seeing things. So we wanted as a market research company to be able to say, everyone can now point to us because we're talking about these things. We're writing about these things. Our Substacks is literally all about, you can now search the different topics. So when you're talking to someone, you can say, you know what, Watchmen Action and all Sherlock and all the research that they're doing, they're warning the church about what's happening. The challenge that we've been finding, though, is some apathy within the church. So we love the fact that we're coming in with the different organizations that are saying, come in, we're going to open up the door because you built something called Watchmen Action that's a strategy. Watchmen Action as a workbook literally is about how do we build advocacy plans so that we can go out into our community and do the things that we're capable of doing. We don't need the federal government to come in or the local government to come in and do in our cities when we can start doing things on our own, right? When things happened in the Carolinas and the weather came in and tore apart all the different counties and whatnot, it was the local people that said, hey, we're going to clear the roads. It was a local municipalities were saying, oh, we can't get to the roads for 4 months. And it's like, no, the local people are like, no, we need the roads clear and we're going to do it ourselves. And we're literally at the point where we have to start doing it ourselves. So as we were going around the different pastor groups, we were like, okay, we're going to write a workbook so that you can talk to your congregation about what it means to build an advocacy plan. What does it mean to get out there and get outside the four walls and start talking to the church? So our entire background has been, it's amazing what Father has done, right? I'm really excited about being able to stand and say, you know what, Father has orchestrated everything that we've been doing because he needs the church to stand up. He told me to tell his children to say, if you have gifts and talents and you're not helping, then you're part of the problem. I tell people all the time, nothing stays stagnant. It either goes forward or it goes back. So if you're doing nothing, by default, you're helping it to go back, right? And we're saying, no, the church is not going to do that. The church is going to step in the gap, and we just needed to figure out a way how to do that. And that's where the birth of Watchmen Action came from.
Yeah, Julianna mentioned something. One of our key performance indicators for the success of Watchmen Action is the number of advocacy plans that are taken on after someone hears us speak or train. So I would encourage all of you to come up with something you want to advocate for and go do it or do it as a group so we can count those as advocacy plans.
Well, I keep telling the church, if you're not known for something in your community, what are you doing? Why do you have your doors open? Right? I mean, once upon a time in the 50s and 60s, the church was the center of the community. The church is the one that led the culture. That was our responsibility, and we abdicated that role. Right? And now it's time for us to re-engage, because when they start talking about chemically castrating little boys, I'm sorry, you get to steward that child. That child belongs to Father. That child doesn't belong to you, right? And now we the people, we the church have to step in and say, no.
Amen. Everybody in the room know who Bill Federer is? Historian Bill. So Bill's on our advisory board. And Bill said something interesting. We had him on the show last year. We did the Watchmen Brief. It's one of our shows. And he told the story of Thomas Gage and the British suppression. So one of the first things Gage did when he came in is he shut down town halls. Well, the reason he did that is that the town hall was the center of any community. It was the church business and the city business in the same building.
Can't have that.
So what's the first thing he does? He suppresses your ability to work in community because he knows that's how he breaks your will. This may sound familiar to you today as you see us more separated. And the church has taken a back seat when it should be in the front seat. This is not a sermon. Just saying. We want to set the stage for you guys. All right, everybody's still here, Julianna. All right. So, why Watchmen Action? Now, this one's always fun. Please keep your laughter to a minimum, though. Why Watchmen Action?
I was sick and tired of going to these meetings and eating a dumb rubber chicken dinner and nothing happening afterwards. I was so tired of going to these events, especially ones that I was a part of, and we would leave and then we would come back the next month and nothing happened. And that's literally the reason why Watchmen Action was created, because I was like, if we're going to do something, then we need to do something. And you know what? RC and I are somebody, so we can do something. And that's where Watchmen Action came about. Because I was like, there's no way I'm going to do this again. There's no way I'm going to support an organization unless they're actually doing something. I'm not going to support a church unless they're actually doing something. Stop talking. I want your actions to speak so loudly. You don't need to tell me anything. I can see exactly what you're doing.
And really, this presentation today, so let me go here before we get started. This presentation, because we have a little time to let it breathe, is meant to be interactive. So we're going to share some areas with you where there are certainly threats, but there are also some opportunities that you haven't been thinking about. If a question comes on your spirit, please don't hesitate to ask it. Raise your hand, let us know, we'll work to answer it. If you want to hold it till the end, we will have time there as well. But if something strikes you and you have a question, please let us know. Ask it so that, because it's probably going to open up something else, and there are probably 5 other people in the room who have the same question and didn't want to ask it. which will probably get them to the point where they'll ask questions. Okay, if you would like to make a statement, when you raise your hand before you start speaking, please say, I'm going to make a statement on what you guys just said. The reason I say that is questions and statements are different. If anyone's ever been to one of our organizational meetings like this, there is a difference when you say, hey, I have a question versus I need to make a statement, yes? Okay, just wanted to make sure we're good. All right, so let's talk about the AI revolution. First things first, does everyone in the room agree that words matter? Yes. Words are critical. He's got a mortgage, right, or has had a mortgage in the past. We know what that means, right? Till death. Oh, word mortgage, yes. Okay, so what is the definition of artificial intelligence? Let's take a look. Artificial intelligence, it is the capability of a computer system to imitate human behavior. That comes from Webster's, by the way. It's a summation, but that's the definition. You guys notice that there's a word underlined in there? Okay. So, let's get a couple of things out of the way. Is this stuff scary? Yes. Is it potentially dangerous? Absolutely. Can it do magical things without human beings? Not quite. It's going to try. And there are some humans that really want it to do that. Because you know what? They're like super evil. And the reason they want to live forever is because they knows what happens when they go. They know where they're going when it's over. Okay, we got that down. So, the capability of computer systems to imitate human behavior. There is a big difference, yes? Right? There is a master-servant relationship here. Because as you guys remember in the Bible, in Genesis 1:26, 1:27, we are told who we are and what we're supposed to do. Yes? Yes. Thank you. Just want to make sure everybody's on the same page. All right, everybody got the definition down? All right, so before we go into those threats and those opportunities, as we're setting the parameters, something that Julianna mentioned a minute ago is really important. She said the word gaslighting. So at this point, you're probably saying, guys, this is great. I think I've heard that word before. What does that mean? Really important, especially in this fight, because you're being told 10,000 different things. So let's take a look at the definition. The definition of gaslighting is the practice of psychologically manipulating someone into questioning their own sanity, memory, or powers of reason. Very good, sir. That is the whole Democrat Party. It's even more nefarious than that.
This really is the whole government.
It really is.
It's like, look here while we do this over here. We're going to tell you this is the reason why we're doing it, but this is really the reason why. Oh, it's, innocuous? No, it's not.
So does anyone in this room feel like, based on that definition, that they have not been gaslit yet?
It's like, don't believe your lying eyes.
This is a smart group. I know you guys would appreciate that. When somebody will raise a hand in a presentation, I've never been gaslit. I asked you to look at COVID. And you tell me now whether or not you have been gaslit. But this is important, right? Because until you guys got to this room, and maybe some of you have seen our stuff before or seen us speak before, you're being told 10,000 different things about AI, what it can and can't do. It's going to rob your house. It's going to do all of this stuff, right? The reason being is that there is always profit in confusion in the world.
But if we go back to having a town hall, where we can talk about what's true and what's not true, we can't be gaslit anymore.
Yes. Okay, so the battle here, and we talked about gaslighting. Are you guys ready for a super technical look at what gaslighting is? Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Kind of looks like that. Sorry, guys.
I know those guys.
Yeah. So this is what we're showing you what it feels like to be gaslit. Now you look at this, there are guns all around you, and they're trying to break your will to get you to agree. The thing you will find in our presentation today, and any time that you encounter us down the road from here, is we're not going to try to get your consent or get you to agree to something, because that's not the goal. The goal is to inform you and have you think for yourself.
And then empower you to be able to have conversations with other people.
Yes.
That's the most important thing.
All right, so we talked about gaslighting. We've got the floor set. Everybody knows what AI is, yes?
Yes.
All right, so let's get into some dangers and benefits. What is on your screen right now is a hammer. Now, you've probably figured that out at this point. It's kind of a cartoonish hammer, but it is a hammer nonetheless. RC, Julianna, why is there a hammer on the screen?
Because artificial intelligence is nothing but a tool.
Yes, glad you asked. Thanks for asking. So, much like a hammer, You can build a house with it, or you can knock someone in the head and steal their wallet with it. You ever heard this conversation about the Second Amendment? Guns kill people. No, people kill people. Bad operators kill people. That's on tape, and I'm glad it is. So, AI, as Julianna just mentioned, is a tool just like the others. You can use it for benefit, or you can use it for evil. If you guys will take a couple of steps back with me. The reason that people are afraid of AI is because the proper biblical worldview and moral compass is non-existent.
I'll give you a quick example. We have the beautiful workbook, and I thought, you know what? I was asked by a couple of organizations, could you make a young version of it? And I said, sure. And I said, let me see what ChatGPT will do. It took out every verse I had in my workbook. Everything out.
So, ultimately, it's not so much about the thing itself, it's who controls said thing. Do we all agree?
Yes.
All right. So let's take a look here. We're going to go through a couple of these again. Your questions are encouraged if you have one pop in your head. Let's start with something everyone has. I see them sitting on tables right now. That is your phone. Everybody got one? You guys know how those things work, right? You use them to find stuff, and they track you, and let me take some. Okay. Glad you caught that. The invention of the device that you have on you now is in and of itself a technological miracle that has taken decades and probably generations to get to the point where it's at today. It's going to go a lot further, we'll get to that in a bit. But it is a great tool, isn't it? I was talking to a friend the other day and I'm like, how did we used to get, and Julianna and I were talking about it the other day, we're on the road. How did we used to get places? MapQuest. Or you had a map in your car or somebody printed out directions for you, right? And I'm like, we are seasoned enough to have been here before the internet. Let's leave it at that. So we know what the world was like before, but isn't it interesting how quickly we forget how we used to do things? There's a lesson. We'll come back to that. But this device, it can get you places, you can communicate with your friends, you can do it at super rapid speed, you can get information from anywhere in the world in seconds.
And if you can get it, then they can get it from you.
Yes. So the benefit, it gives you all this access. Well, what's the other side? Yeah, that part. So, the device that you hold with you now is the world's greatest homing beacon. I know where you're at all the time, every minute of every day, even if you choose not to tell me, because your device is constantly pinging cell towers everywhere you go.
And then thanks to the data centers that they're building and they have built, they can triangulate everything that you're doing, so they know exactly what you're doing, where you're doing it, who you're doing it with. I mean, Facebook even says that if you've done 500 posts on Facebook, they know you better than you know yourself.
Yeah, we were going to get you guys in this presentation. I decided to pull it out at the last minute. We were going to set up a system where you hit a QR code, and then it was going to track your device in the room, and we were just going to put the dashboard on the screen and let you guys see your devices. Okay? But this happens. I know I should have. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow night. Because it'll be fun. People will be totally freaked out, so we won't tell them. But guys, that example is part of what happens. So Julianna mentioned, you do 500 posts, right? Well, we talked about Watchmen Action. Our business, Sherlock, is a research and behavioral marketing business. We use AI in our business extensively. We've got a database of people all over the country where with our algorithms, we can tell who is in market to buy any product, service, or brand at any time. Doesn't that scare you? Right?
So what's really interesting is when I met my husband, right, his background is in technology and media. My background is in business and forensic psychology. I went to John Jay College of Criminal Justice. And one day he says, I'm building this thing called technology. I did not understand that word technology, what it meant, what it could do. Okay, you're talking about a total novice. I've had to learn everything thanks to this amazing man over here. And in my living room, which I still have, a 6-foot whiteboard. And we had a technology guy come over and he started drawing something plus NLP equals something. I said, NLP, like neural linguistics programming? And I picked up my book, my 450-page book, and my husband was like, yes, exactly. We're developing an entire technology based on forensics and what you understand. And I was like, no. It's all about the psychological aspect of being able to track everybody and know what people are doing and who they are and what moves they'll be able to make and triangulate your life. It's crazy.
So, oh, go ahead, please.
Is
Question?
this why when I'm talking about a recipe that I want to make for dinner, he goes on Facebook and he goes, oh, there's a recipe for what you just decided? Is that what?
That's exactly it. My girlfriends will go on Facebook and they'll type in the word flowers, or they'll go on Google, type in flowers. They're like, I'm so tired of my news feed being all these other things. I want some flowers on my news feed. So all you have to do is say it, type it.
Is it also in our automobiles?
They're tracking everything we're doing. They're tracking where we're going.
Yeah, so this rabbit hole goes pretty deep. So what we just discussed, that is the very surface level of what's there. What we often tell people is, I don't even need to know who you are. Each of your devices has an ID. I just need your device ID and about 15 data points on you, and I can pretty predictably figure out what you're going to do next. It really isn't that difficult because humans are reliably unreliable in the best way possible. We are creatures of habit, and your random things that you do, those outliers help me understand what you're going to do next. A quick example, if you'll entertain me. So I'll pick on Ricky because she's a friend. So Ricky's got her device, she goes her places. Maybe she goes to the gym, she goes to church, she goes to the grocery store. Right? Well, this device is not only tracking all of that, but a service called Nielsen Catalina, every time that Ricky uses her card to buy something, is tracking that transaction, and based on her location, is tying her buying to her location and ultimately to her. The other thing that your device does that you may not be aware of is the amount of pressure that you put on the screen of your device determines your mood.
Or if you fall.
Or if you fall. Anybody ever like drop your phone a lot and all of a sudden it says, "Are you okay?" I'm gonna call somebody. Have you guys seen that happen? It will totally do it. We were talking to somebody earlier this week. They're like, "No," and it's like, try it. You will find your phone will freak out. Don't take your phone on a roller coaster. Because you know what? It'll start going crazy in your pocket. Are you okay? You have an elevated heart rate. Your heart's going to explode. Don't do that.
Who sends that? Where is that message coming from?
The phone is so sensitive that it can text everything.
It'll just send a message
It
through
is-
what means though. I mean, as a like a text message.
So if your heart rate is elevated out of a normal range, it will start buzzing your watch. If you have a smartwatch, your phone, it'll say, "Hey, your heart rate is out of your normal range."
If you have the app and stuff like that.
Well, even if you don't have the app, Apple's core, if you have an iPhone, Apple's core is designed to do that. That's part of your emergency contact system. It's going to do it regardless of whether or not you turn it on or off. For your safety.
Of course.
That's the interest. If you've ever been or broke suddenly and almost gotten into an accident, from time to time your phone will say, "Have you been in an accident?" Because it is detecting motion. You are out of the normal range, going back to poor Ricky here. If she goes out of whack on her regular behavior in a given day, if I'm a data company that's trying to sell her something, I'm going to try to figure out the amount of pressure she's putting on your device. Your stress level is directly correlated to the amount of pressure that you put on your device to click an app or to do something like that. Have you ever gotten really mad reading a piece of news? What do? Yeah. Or you call one of your friends or you send a voice message. "Can you believe this? I'm going to send you something right now." Your voice patterns are also detected. So all of this data is pulled together. So let's say Ricky is on about her day, almost gets in an accident. She's like, "This guy did." She's, so frustrated right now. She's like, she tells Pat, "Hey, you know what happened to me?" Blah, blah, blah. So she's going, okay, all of this is being tracked. Well, it just so happens that Ricky is a fan of chocolate. So when she's driving along using Google Maps, knowing that she's stressed and that she loves chocolate as a vice, I'm probably going to try to market to her a vice because she is more inclined to buy it. You guys understand?
You want to talk about manipulation? We're being literally manipulated. They know exactly how to target us to get us to do the things that they want us to do.
So, go ahead, please.
What about when you put in airplane mode? Is it tracking still?
Oh, it's still tracking. So, the NSA, and we're going to get to this in a little bit, but the NSA, through the Patriot Act, has been able to bypass every firewall when you think even when your device is off, it's still tracking. It's still pinging towers. This is why every time that there is a mass shooting and we know the profile of the person, this is pretty obvious. Like this is forensics 101. Generally the people who are doing these shootings all meet a particular profile, yes? They tend to be confused sexually, whatever, they've been radicalized in some way, and they give off all the same signals, right? They're pinging all the same signals. And I'm like, so if my phone is off and it's still pinging a cell tower, and you could come down on me if I give Ryan Kennedy $1 and you want your 30 cents, that you can't triangulate that someone who has shown all the indications of being a mass shooter is about to commit a mass shooting?
There you go.
Yes, ma'am.
So, I don't know if they still sell flip phones, but hypothetically, if there are flip phones and I could get one of those, say, tomorrow, would they still be able to do all this?
Okay, so it's funny you mentioned that. Everybody know who Alex Newman is? Okay, Alex is a good friend of ours. Alex has a flip phone. Every time I go to text him, I realize I can't.
Is he still doing the A,
He's still doing the-
B, C, D, E, F?
Okay, so the end was a great question. So if I go get a flip phone tomorrow, can they still do this? They can't do it to that flip phone, but here's the kicker. Someone in your home is going to have their device. You have other connected devices. Does anybody have an Alexa or a Google Home in their house?
Take it out.
Take it out and throw it in the pit of hell. Seriously. Okay?
Even your router, you should have something,
Yeah, your router should be gated.
you should have something in front of your router so that the router can't see you. The router can detect where you are inside your apartment. It's already mapped everything out. So if you have any connections, you want to block it.
Go ahead, sir.
David,
Yeah, right. Excellent.
I've seen the phone actually just start taking your conversation, like you were asking Siri, like, hey Siri, this, I'm talking in the house, and all of a sudden it starts picking up my conversation like I'm asking the phone something.
Because you may have said Siri, and Siri wanted to make sure she didn't miss what you said.
But they didn't say Siri, that's what I'm saying.
Ah!
What about one of those Faraday bags? If you put your phone in that, would that stop us?
Anything that blocks the phone should block the signal.
Some protection, but not absolute. And we found that in practice. So the best way to avoid the tracking on the phone is if you're going to go into somewhere where you don't want that conversation to be tracked, leave your phone in the car. Just don't bring it with you.
So I had spoken to what was a representative, well, he worked for the Department of Defense, he still does, now it's Department of War. And he was telling me, we were just having this, the conversation led into this, and he said to me, I want you to know something.
Uh-oh.
Your phone, even when it's off, they can hear everything you're saying.
Oh, 100%.
Yes, and he said, so he goes, well, I do with my wife, we go outside, we leave the phone inside, if you don't want them to hear you.
Exactly.
And I tested it.
You really do. You know, we spent time with Catherine Austin Fitz not too long ago. In that meeting, all phones had to be left outside. No phones, no devices, no watches, no nothing. I have to tell you, after about 20 minutes, it was the most refreshing thing. And it was hilarious to see people say, oh, let me give you my number. Okay, so, Carol, I'll come to you in just a second. I want to finish this up. So, your devices are connected. We were talking about Google Home, Amazon Alexa. Here's why they need to go into the pit of hell and burn forever. Those things work under the guise of helping you. Siri's another matter that's kind of tough because it's your actual phone. Your phone, Mark, you mind if I grab it for a second? Okay. Poor phone. We're going to miss you. And he's recording me. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. Listen, share it, please. No, I don't know how many watch lists we're on, but whatever. So, this thing, in the eyes of the technological world and where they ultimately want to take us, is a brick. Nothing against Mark's phone, they're all bricks. That's how they look at it. Because what they wanted to do at first is to put a chip right about here. So that you could just think about it, you wouldn't have to say it. Everybody knows what Neuralink is, yes? Elon Musk, Neuralink, monkey murder guy? Okay, we'll come back. Yeah. So then they said, well, people, that's kind of creepy for people. Maybe we can get them to put contact lenses in and do an augmented layer of reality. What does that look like? Has anybody seen the movie Minority Report? Tom Cruise. That's the augmented reality world where he's looking through and everybody knows who he is and everything's personalized. They wanted to put a layer on top of your life. So if I'm walking and I'm talking to Mark and he says, you know, I used to play for the Dolphins, I could say, well, tell me about the Miami Dolphins. And as he's telling me, it's just coming onto the layer because it's listening for that. What they ultimately landed on was the glasses. This next generation of Google glasses and Snapchat glasses look just like sunglasses. So let me ask you an obvious question. If you no longer have that, but you have glasses, how are you going to communicate with it? You have to talk to it. Well, in order for it to understand tone, temperature, and texture of your voice, there has to be a mass amount of data on the texture, temperature, and tone of your voice to pull from. Guess whose business that is? Amazon Alexa and Google Home. That's why they need to burn in the pit out. Okay, sorry, Carol, go ahead.
Well, first, I have a Roomba, and I hope that that's not.
I mean,
Please don't tell me I have to get rid of that.
your ankles may thank you, but no, go ahead.
My question is, can you explain transhumanism?
Ooh, yes. Okay. So, transhumanism. This has a lot to do with the term singularity. Is everyone familiar with singularity? If not, I'll describe it real quick. Okay. So, singularity is the ultimate merging of man and machine to create a cyborg. That is the goal of the singularity, for man to live forever. What is transhumanism? Those are the freaks that say, I'm just going to build myself one cyborg piece at a time because I want to live forever. So those transhumanists, many of you here talking, Klaus Schwab is one of those guys with the World Economic Forum, they will own nothing. And so they're happy. It is, but he said it though, in the fourth industrial revolution, it is you that will change. You will change because you will merge, like Yuval Noah Harari has said from stage. You will merge with machines. AI will write a new Bible. So transhumans are basically just a merging of man and machine. I mentioned this a minute ago, but I want to mention it again because Carol's question is really good in context. Because you may say, well, RC, that sounds really scary and evil and demonic. Why would they do that? Glad you asked. Thanks for asking. So, because they know what happens when they die. Right? You guys follow me? Anybody who's willing to do that to themselves is not a believer. Everybody agree? So, when there's nothing to live for, what else do you do? Well, I'm just going to hang out here as long as I can because I don't want to die because I know what happens after that. And we tell these people that. We're like, oh, we know why you want to live forever. Because you know what happens when you die.
So I want to say that we are all made of electricity, okay? So we're all beacons. They can track us just because we are made of electricity. They can also kill us easily because we're made of electricity. Most people don't understand that, right? And that's why they can say, oh, we can watch everything that you're doing because they can still see us because we're electricity. And they can do the transhumanism because they're still part of being electric. So the transhumanism model is really so that we, Father's children, aren't connected anymore to him. I mean, we have what's called the God gene, and literally there was a scientist, I have the video if anybody wants to see it, and he said that we can make a vaccine that disconnects people from Father. Literally, they're trying to disconnect us from our Creator so that they can be the ones that are creating. So we no longer have humans the way Father made us, but we now have these transhumanists, people who are now controlled. They can see, they can hear what you're thinking, see what you're seeing, know what you're doing. They can completely control you. So someone who's, a transhuman human is somebody that is part machine.
Yeah, we've had difficult conversations with people because some of the questions that come are, well, if humanity is going to evolve, which in and of itself is a really scary thing, I don't want my kids or grandkids to be left behind, so I'm going to have to do it. And we're like, you know how that ends, right? That never ends good. What you're buying into is the world. Again, apologies if you're still finding your way or don't quite agree with this. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. That is dangerous. Don't do that. It's not worth doing that. And since we're talking about phones and devices, one more thing here. We'll take questions and we can keep going. Has everybody seen The Matrix? The original Matrix movie? Oh, yeah. To Julianna's point about us being electricity and energy, do you guys remember the scene where Morpheus described to Neo what the ultimate goal of machines creating humans in that world was? Power. Humans give off more energy than a 9-volt battery, and they do it endlessly. Once the machines had won the battle, they had all the power that they would ever need. So, if you've been following HHS recently, everybody knows Bobby Kennedy's the head of HHS. He made an announcement a couple of weeks ago that stopped us in our tracks. And we're like, hey, everyone needs to wear a fitness device. If you were to go look at the patent for that fitness device, one of the things it does is harness energy.
Wow.
Okay, so let's have a real conversation about our friends and our enemies. It's not that Bobby Kennedy is at fault for that. It's much deeper than that. But you guys have to understand that the way to get you to comply is to do it through people you would otherwise say they wouldn't do that to me. You guys understand? Yes. And if we're not willing to call those things out, regardless of where they come from, this fight is already over.
This is not a party thing. There's only two sides, father's side and not father's side. Okay, there's only one foundation of truth, and that comes from the Bible. If it's not in there, it's not true, right? And the culture is not allowed to tell us what our Bible says, and to rewrite it, and to tell us to be quiet, and to sit down. No, Father's truth will reign, because our job is to take territory, and that's what we're going to continue doing.
So, any other questions or anything on phones or devices and such before we continue?
2 questions really quick.
Yes, ma'am.
One, this thing that I have on my phone, which is like for anti-radiation.
Yes.
That all it does, like it steals this and it doesn't block the listening things?
Yes, and it also depends on who you get it from and how much testing they've actually done on it. We've seen all manner of those things. It does give you some safety, but it's not going to stop tracking.
So maybe if you guys can know or have researched what you would recommend for us that we do have our phones, because I don't know if tomorrow we're all going to throw our phones in the garbage, but for us getting through for what you're telling us.
Yes.
And then the things you put in your ears, the earbuds.
Ooh.
You want to talk about radiation? I mean, even the watches. I have my watch on, but my bloodstream is being radiated. So every one of us that has, a smart watch, we really shouldn't have a smart watch on.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because you're absolutely right, Julianna. Something has happened over the last year. Anybody watch football?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you guys noticed that the players were always wearing the earbuds, and then all of a sudden they all went to wired.
Yes.
When you see them now, there's a reason for that. They tell you what they're going to do. They tell you what's going on beforehand, and the people in the know are like, I ain't wearing those things anymore because they cause the brain cancer. Yeah.
Don't hold your phone in the same pocket. There were women who were coming up with breast cancer because they were putting their phones in their drawers. Don't put your phone just in the same pocket behind you.
Can you explain that again?
The radiation
No,
from
no,
the phone.
no, the football example.
Oh, so the pro football players, when you see them walk in off the bus, they're all wearing wired headphones now.
They're not wearing.
They're not wearing the wireless earbuds anymore.
And,
Because they know that they shouldn't.
because they know, okay.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And don't, I had open heart surgery, do not keep your phone
Thank you
in your
for-
hard pressed pocket.
Yes.
I had valve replacement. And don't keep it on your bed because of your brain. I next to the nightstand where I keep it in case my kids from New York call. You gotta keep your phone on. What a deception. And one other thing to that, we are the original light.
Amen.
We're always followed, because we're an example.
Amen.
And never leave you means never, even if the enemy comes with all of these deceptions, he's right there.
Amen.
So on that, before we move on, I'd just like to tell, oh, sorry, ma'am, I didn't see you
So I
back
just
there.
had a question.
Yes,
So, the wired earbuds,
Yes.
though, that is Bluetooth, right? Instead of, no? What's the difference?
They're literally the old classic where you used to plug in your headphones into something.
Right.
They're analog, I guess, for lack of a better word. It's the old school, there's nothing emitting through other than the sound that's coming to your ears. With the AirPods, those wireless ones, they're using, there's a small amount of radiation that runs, and when it's on both sides, imagine your brain kind of being scrambled. Here's the other thing, and I would encourage you guys to look.
Because I have now in my smartphone, my Droid, I have to plug it in because they don't have a little hole anymore for the earbuds.
Right.
So you have to have this contraption that plugs into where you normally charge your phone, and then I can wear my corded earbuds.
Right.
Is that any better?
That's fine.
That's fine.
Yes,
So-
yes.
Oh, that's what I do.
Notice how they're making it difficult for you to do it?
Exactly, I have to buy a contraption that, yeah.
And listen, we were talking about a lot of things here, but I would encourage you guys, especially on the earbuds, the wireless AirPods, if you go and search for the patent on those, their energy emitting quality also includes something about subliminal messaging. It's very strange. That basically they can insert thoughts and things through these devices. I'm not kidding you, like literally it's in the patent. This is why I tell people, if you have a great technology or whatever, don't patent it. Because if you do, you've got to tell everybody what you're doing. And once you disclose it, all people have to do is move it 10%, and then it's theirs. So, but I encourage you guys, since they're putting it out there, because Apple doesn't care, to see what that means. Go ahead, sir.
Real quick, does the 5G, now that we're all kind of into that right stage, is that transmit without even the ear pods in that? Does that transmit subliminal sort of stuff?
So I don't know about any of y'all, but when I drive near one of those towers, I get nauseous and I've literally thrown up.
Wow.
I said to him, you have to blow the red light, you've got to get me away from this thing, because I was vomiting because of the emissions that were coming off that tower.
Because I've heard, yeah, it's got tremendous force in that regard, right?
We are being purposefully poisoned.
Yeah, that's right.
The GMOs, what's in the sky, 5G, shots, all of it. I mean, this is what's called a slow kill. That's what we've been going through. And I think that as a body of people, we're just so like a deer in the headlights, like, oh my God. And we're sitting here going, what do we do about it? And it's like, we've got to get together and say, we as the people don't allow the tiny percent of the people that are poisoning us. And we're sitting back and we're breathing this stuff and we're allowing this to happen. I mean, most countries, they're in the streets and they're rioting. And here we are, the United States of America, and I'm going, what are we doing? Like, where's the people? Where's the militia? How come we haven't stood up? How come we are allowing them to poison us? And we just go, oh, I don't see nothing.
It'll never happen here, is what they're thinking, see. If you've seen a country where it's happened, then you know, like up close and personal lived there, then you do know.
Well, we've got Pastor Andrew is coming, right, from Australia, and he's screaming, going, don't you understand, we're at war? This is war. This is what war looks like. They programmed us to believe that there's big tanks that are coming on our shores. Now, mind you, there are a lot of ports in the United States of America we don't own. China owns them.
That's right.
Okay? Or other countries own them. I always say, where's the women and children? We've been having all these, conflicts going on in the Middle East. Where are the women and children? Let me tell you, I'm going to say that they've been trafficked. Okay, let's just call it what it is. And our government is part of the system that is creating this. You know how many children go missing every single year in the United States of America? When my daughter 10 years ago started high school, I had a friend look at me and she was like, these 3 homeless shelters are asking me to help them because we have 1,900 homeless kids in my county. And I was like, my daughter's going to school with 1,900 homeless children in one county of Florida? Like, are you kidding me? How come we don't know that? What, I mean, you're telling me that the mega wealthy are getting mega wealthy, and then we've got people, we have children that we're supposed to be protecting, and they're sleeping in shelters, they don't have a home? I mean, where are we at? Because the systems that were created intentionally. Okay, the poverty is created intentionally. We need to turn around and say, we see what you're doing intentionally, and we're going to make you change this. Because we have to create the system that allows our children to be safe. Right now, 1,900 homeless children. I cannot be quiet. The last 10 years, everything I've done is because of those 1,900 children. That's not acceptable.
So AI plays a large role. So maybe asking, what does AI have to do with all this? Everything.
Everything.
The device is where we started, but you see how it spreads, right? Now there's more.
Well, think about how many people would be losing their jobs because
Yeah.
of artificial intelligence. How is that going to impact the children?
When you think about it, one of the highest grossing businesses in the world is the trafficking of people.
Oh, yeah.
By far, right? It's not drugs, it's people, right? So I know this sounds heavy and scary and everything. Here's the good news for you guys. One, now you know. And two, if you turn the cannon the other way, it will fire at your opponent. You can use these tools to continue to disseminate information, support causes, do all the things that you normally do without them being totally invasive on your life, because now you know what the game is. Right? That's better. Right? We got it. We're ready to fight. Okay, you guys ready to continue?
Absolutely.
Oh, good Lord. She's like, oh my God, what did I start? Okay. All right, so let's go. So this one was interesting. Anybody been to the grocery store lately? Oh, this isn't going where you think it's going. Okay, so you guys see the prices at the stores, they go up, right? You guys see that those prices are stacked, so it's like a piece of paper or a piece of plastic, right? So it's pretty standard. Anybody use Instacart in the room? No one in this room uses Instacart? Okay, I was going to say this copy.
What's Instacart?
Yeah, right? Instacart allows you to bypass the store and order your groceries and have it delivered to you from your favorite store. Okay? So, for the person that has used Instacart in the room, I'm going to take a second. So, for the person that has used Instacart in the room, prices change from time to time, yes. If you buy something from Instacart, then you go to the store, you can see how much their margin is, right? Well, Instacart has done something pretty nefarious. It's called surveillance pricing. So this story actually ended up getting broke by a group of pseudo-liberals who went in, got 20 people in a room, all different folks from all different places, had not met each other before that moment, so their devices hadn't been in the same place. Okay? And they said, everybody go on Instacart, let's order something. The pricing was different 20 different times at the same store. So if I could take a step back to using poor Ricky as an example, all of her habits can tell me what I need to charge her based on her desire to have a thing.
Wow.
Understand?
Yeah.
That's surveillance pricing. So this video is actually from Channel 2 News in Houston. It's about 2 minutes, and after it's done, we'll talk more about where this is ultimately going. Because I asked you about going in the grocery store and looking at prices for a reason. Okay, you guys ready?
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
But a recent investigation reveals the price you pay may be far different than what Instacart charges someone else for the same item from the same store. KPRC2 News reporter Amy Davis explains why this is happening.
We frequently compare grocery prices of the same item from one store to the next, but this is different. Consumer Reports investigation found Instacart using AI to display different prices to different customers, part of a pricing experiment at several big chain stores. So the study tested shoppers across the country buying the same groceries from Target, Costco, and Kroger. They found price differences up to 23% on the same products. Here's some examples. Skippy peanut butter was $2.99 for some customers shopping through Instacart and $3.69 for others. Wheat Thins were $3.99 for one customer, $4.89 for another. Cheerios, $7.34 for some customers and $7.99 for others. But Instacart told Consumer Reports the pricing experiments help retailers understand what customers value and keep prices fair. But experts warn that this kind of algorithmic pricing could soon use our shopping history and personal data to set prices individually for us. It's a practice called surveillance pricing. We put the full Consumer Reports findings on click2houston.com. I'm Amy Davis, KPRC2 News.
Wow. Didn't see that coming, did you?
No.
Okay. So this is happening around you every day. It's not just Instacart. If you shop for anything online at any time, have some fun. Like go look for something. Jimmy, you can do this. Go and then call the kids and say, hey, I want you to go look at this thing. You will find the pricing is different. Okay, because what I can get you to pay versus what I can get Ricky to pay is dependent on the data I have on you. If she is stressed and she needs to travel right away, I can charge her a premium for the same flight that you would take, but you're not in that much of a hurry. It detects that from all the data that it pulls in. The algorithms work to say, yeah, right about now. And you'll notice now you guys can't unsee it. Now you're going to be looking at everything. You're looking at every rock and everything, but it's real. So hang on, Ricky. Let me go here and then we'll come back.
No, I understood that Apple, if you're on an Apple computer, airlines charge more. You know you're on an Apple than if you're on a PC.
Yeah, because the demographic and psychographic profile of an Apple user tends to lean towards slightly more affluent or more engaged or more willing to say, well, yeah, of course I would pay a premium because I'm a Mac user and I probably use a Mont Blanc pen or what, right? Okay, you guys see what I mean now? Right? I know it's funny, right? Okay, hang on, Jimmy, 1 second. Ricky, go ahead.
What about Amazon?
Oh my goodness, the leaders, the world leaders in.
Can you test it right now and have all of us check out the price?
I mean, you guys aren't using Instacart, so.
No, Amazon.
Oh, Amazon. Yeah, you can if you want. I mean, you guys can start testing if you want and see if you get different prices. You guys.
Give us a product.
What's something we need to pick up?
So
So I don't want to go buy it for us.
How about the adapter?
Yeah, look for a new set of luggage because we're traveling a lot. So. You guys can all search on Amazon for a new set of luggage or toilet paper, and let's see how Amazon does.
And the airlines too.
Oh, big time.
Well, I got his ticket because he had some stuff to stay back here. I got them to accommodate, but before the accommodation, I said, let me check to get the same flight in the same seat. $500 more.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes $800 more. But I made him do it anyway for the ADA, said I couldn't.
Jimmy, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, so we should be hanging out at Walmart then, right? One of the best prices possible in the parking lot.
I mean, Walmart is, so all of these groups, you notice that she said, like, all the retailers test these various things, right? So they're all doing it to some degree, okay? And it's important to understand that it's happening to you. And again, as you're feeding the system, don't be surprised if you go and then you have your friend go and do the same thing. You hit it on the head, right? The whole thing with the airline ticket, a $500 difference because it was detecting that you're trying to figure something out, and maybe if they can impulse you.
And it was one way.
Right.
And it knows my whole thing.
And here's the thing, it didn't even want to charge him 500 more. It was willing to take 200 more, just wanted to see how serious he was. Old negotiation tactic, right? Now built into AI.
How is this good?
What's that?
He said, how is this good?
Well, I'm gonna get to that in a
You're
second.
saying AI is good. I'm like, how is this good?
I'm gonna get to that in a second. So I was talking to you guys about the grocery store. Now, you guys haven't seen this yet because I don't think it's rolled out in Florida. But what the plan is to roll out digital price things so that pricing is dynamic when you're in the store.
We were driving down I-4, and after the debacle in New York where they wanted to have an extra tax if you go into the city, Florida decided that they were going to support the debacle of what was going on in New York City. So on the signs, when I was going through the HOV lanes, it was saying like the pricing is going to be dynamic based on you and your timing and everything. And I thought, really? You're going to do an empathy thing with New York and what they're trying to do and how they're trying to hurt the New Yorkers?
Here. So.
Isn't driving on I-4 an oxymoron?
Yeah, right. Sorry, sitting on I-4, Keith. Keith has had that experience. So, you know, guys, really that plan, though, they want to put this digital signage in the store. So for years, they've been watching you on the shelves. There are cameras on the shelves. Did you guys notice?
Yeah.
They're watching you and what you do to get an idea of what they should charge for slotting fees in a grocery store, where because that space is premium. Like brands pay tons of money to be in front of you. That's why the most premium stuff tends to be on the top shelves, eye level, and the garbage is kind of down here. Because that's the slotting fee. Kraft is going to pay a premium for their stuff to be in place, where the generic brand is like, yeah, I just want to get on the shelf. So what they want to do is based on all the data they collect on you. I'll use Ricky's example again. She's moving around, she's doing all these things, she's got her outlier data. If I know she's stressed, I know I can get a premium on a product that she likes. That pricing is actually going to change in real time. And then when she walks away, the next person walks up, it may change again. That's the plan for surveillance pricing. They want dynamic pricing. Again, don't take our word for it. Just go on the NSA search engine, that's Google, and look for yourself. They will tell you, hey, dynamic pricing is coming. So let me get to how it's good, because this gentleman in the back is a smart man, and he asked the right question. You know, here's the crazy part.
No.
No, it's not. No, actually, here's where it is.
No, not smart.
No, listen, you know what they say, if you can say it in as few words as possible, you're the smart one. Like it takes you, if I'm gonna speak for 3 minutes, I need a month, right? If I'm gonna speak, for 3 hours, I can do it now. But this is important. So there is good in this. And here's what's interesting about the hammer analogy. It isn't the tool, it is the person who controls it. And I'll use Amazon as an example of this. Their dynamic and surveillance pricing is inherently evil. Jeff Bezos is not saved. So obviously, Amazon is going to follow that lead. Here is the thing that they figured out though. They figured out not only national supply chain, but local supply chain. They can get you something highly efficiently in the shortest window possible because of AI. Now, imagine this. Imagine the group in this room said, hey, listen, we want to have our own local supply chain because we want to do kingdom commerce with each other. We have the tools, resources, intelligence, and relationships to get that done right away, right? We should probably spend 5 hours together and have a mock-up ready to go and be moving stuff around. So we could do that, and using the same logic and algorithms that Amazon uses, solve a real problem from our side. Do you guys see FedEx has done it? UPS has done it. They've mastered the supply chain. Something that we worked on a couple of years ago was setting up domestic supply chain. Columbia, South Carolina is one of the few transit points in the country where it's got so many intersecting freeways going in so many directions. You can pretty much get anything on the eastern seaboard of the United States by truck to its destination in 2 days from Columbia, South Carolina. We're like, that's a hub for a localized supply chain. Let's find the other local hubs, piece them together so that people who sell great products but who can't get any exposure can find the people who would prefer to buy from a small business, and let's give them the infrastructure to do it.
We need to learn how to use AI for our benefit and have control of it. We also need to be able to use our money as a spending tool when it comes to where we're going to use our money. Go to the mom and pop shops, the local restaurants. I'm from Brooklyn, okay? On the main avenue, there were like 4 different types of bookstores, the college, the kid, the regular, you know? Barnes and Nobles was literally building their building. Like they just started, and all 4 bookstores closed, right? The mom and pop shops. Those are who we should be supporting, not even the franchises. Because if we want to push back on AI, then we have to feed the beast that's controlling the AI. And the only way we're going to do that is we support each other and our businesses. Right? It's not supporting Amazon or Walmart or any of the big box stores. Those are the bad guys.
Yeah, go ahead, Carol.
No, I'm also concerned about deception. You know, when you're looking at something, they can create an image of any one of us, and it looks so real, and meanwhile, how can we be able to tell what's real and what's not?
I don't know if we can.
At this point, it is becoming more difficult to do that. I forget where we were speaking, but somebody posed this question from a business perspective. And what I stated was, one of the most sought after roles in the next 5 years is going to be an authenticity director. That is going to be the person or people or team that their entire job is to authenticate that something is real. And your kind of authenticity sticker is going to become like gold. People are going to need to be able to figure out a way that it's actually Carol. And Carol is not online saying RC and Julianna are out of their freaking mind. Those people should be in a cave somewhere.
If we're late, it's really hard.
Yeah, right. It's just but these are the tough questions. But Carol, this is such a good question, and it kind of goes back to the root of our conversation. We have the capability to stop these things.
If we come together.
It's going to take you getting a little uncomfortable. Okay, maybe doing some things that you wouldn't normally do, but I can promise you at the end that it's worth it. We put it all on the line. I'll be honest with you guys, Sherlock is a business. We don't work with liberals. We don't work with progressives. Because that's not who we are. They don't believe what we believe. We will limit the people we'll work with. We have turned down money working on Internet of Things, that's connected devices in your home, and triangulating what you're going to do next. We've been approached to do that work because we're good at it, and we said no because we know where it ends up. So it's cost us a lot to do this, but we also know what happens after you leave. Right? Not going to the hot place. How's everybody doing? Okay, so far so good. Let's keep going. Biometrics. Yes, so
We've already been starting to talk about all.
We already started to talk about this a little bit, we'll continue. So anybody from the Northeast? Wegmans? Familiar, Wegmans? Okay. So, late last year, Wegmans supermarket chain, pretty fancy. They started doing a test where they were testing biometric scans of faces on their employees. For research purposes, right? Just to understand.
So they say.
So they say, that's how it always starts, right? So New York has recently passed a law that says this is legal, and the only thing you have to do is inform. You guys follow? Here's what they didn't say. You don't need to report what's going to happen with that data. You just need to inform the people coming into an establishment that this is happening. That's New York's law. So Wegmans started with employees. Well, recently, guess what we found out? They started doing it on customers too. Yeah, right? So biometrics, face scanning, other scanning. You go to the airport, hey, let us take your picture.
No.
As people say, well, they do it at airports and everything. Well, it's public, right? It's federal government, so you can opt out. Doesn't mean they won't try. But this is a private business, and according to New York law, they have every right to do it as long as they inform you that they're going to do it. Or see, that's just in New York. It's not going to happen here. Okay. They keep trying every single day, don't they? They got you to take a real ID, didn't they?
We had a TSA agent get upset with us because she was like, are you gonna take the picture? And we were like, no. And she goes, I didn't understand. What did you say? You're not gonna do the picture? And she just caught an attitude and was like, no. Like, at what point do we take a stand and say, we're not going to comply with what you're doing? I remember I had to go to Disney about 8 years ago. My daughter was gonna be there for some reason. And they were like, you know, do your fingerprint. And I thought, I don't wanna give them my fingerprint. And I'm like, well, it's either go see my kid, because she was gonna perform, you know, and give them my fingerprint, or not go to see her. And I gave them my fingerprint, and I thought, I had no interest in having a corporation have my fingerprint. None.
Your biometrics, and this is another thing we didn't set up. I was like, oh, we should do it with them too. And I didn't, is we actually built a technology that is focused on the micro expressions in your face. So your face has millions of micro expressions the human eye can't detect, but the technology can. So we built one, and our first test subject was Bill Federer. We were in New York together. We said, hey, we're gonna test this on you. So it's doing a rotating scan on the audience, and we can tell when you guys are leaning in and interested and when you back off. And so we did it for Bill over 2 hours, and we showed him exactly, he's like, you're exactly right. That's what happens in my presentations. We could show him when people were interested, and when they backed off, and when they were freaked out, and all of these other things, like in real time. Okay. Biometrics gives you the capability to figure things like that out. We'll continue in a second. Questions?
Do you think that this is, at least over here, because I know in China, they have recognition where they can literally see your finances just by looking at your face. Do you think that maybe they're using the store to make you think it's for the grocery and shopping purposes, and really it's just to get to that end where China's at now with control? Get all your questions.
I'm gonna say China is already kind of in control, and our government is doing exactly the same thing.
My friend told me, he said they literally, if you have, they can see your record, legal, if you're in trouble or anything like that, if you do something there, they can freeze your assets.
You're absolutely right. So let me do this for you guys. So Wegmans is downstream from something much more nefarious. I'm so glad you asked the question when you did. What is that nefarious? Everybody remember that?
Oh, yeah.
We need to get rid of that.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you can quite see the red box, great. If not, I'll read it to you. That red box at the bottom. Among them was Section 215, speaking of the Patriot Act, which allowed the government to obtain any tangible things relevant to a national security investigation.
Whatever they say is relevant.
They're
making their own rules, right?
Wegmans is a downstream result of the Patriot Act, which, by the way, your representatives decided to continue to fund recently. All of them. Yes, Pat.
So if you're an employer with a large plant, and how do you confirm that that individual checked in at the start of the shift instead of somebody else checking in? Or if you're doing testing or verification, how do you confirm that remote, that individual that's taking the test to get a CDL actually is the right person. So there's a positive to that, isn't there?
You stole my thunder. No, Pat, you're absolutely right, and that's actually, we're gonna come to that, because there are a number of positives with this that, I'm sorry, I don't want to trace them. There are a number of positives of this, especially in the health space, where the ability to detect an issue early is saving people's lives meaningfully.
Right.
And fortunately, there are actually more Christians getting into that space than most of the others, which is a blessing. So I'm gonna come back to that, Pat, 'cause that's a good question, right? So, downstream, Patriot Act, right? Let me get to China for a second, because probably 4 or 5 years ago, we started talking about the social credit score in China's infrastructure system. So, China is so well designed that they figured out programmable money was the way forward. But that was downstream from getting everyone to the point where they had to have their mobile device on them at all times. It is mandatory in China that you have that. Your whole life is on that thing. Tencent, QQ, all of this stuff is interconnected. So it's one giant app that does everything. Now, you know, we don't care which side the evil comes from, so let me just talk about it. If that sounds remotely familiar to you, Elon Musk wants to do the same thing with X. Think about that for a second. He's like, no, X is going to be an everything app, just like Tencent and QQ, and we're going to do all these things, right? So China, their whole lives, their citizens are on phones. They do everything from there. They pay for stuff, they do stuff, they set appointments, they do all these things. Well, that now becomes a centralized tracking device. And you are given a score based on your behavior. Now, here in the United States, you can be a rebel and still make a living. I know folks in the room have done very well. That's great. You can do that here for now. Okay.
Unless they cancel you.
Unless they decide to cancel you. In China, it is a totalitarian regime. All things are pressed under thumb, you do what we say, or else. And so.
There's videos of people in China saying, I'm paying extra so that I can up my credit score so I can go see so-and-so in such and such a city.
All of this came. They allowed this so they could do this.
Exactly.
It was a corporate conspiracy with all the rich people. Horrible.
That's actually our great gaslight presentation. We actually do a different version of this presentation. That's actually in there where we
I
talk
was
about
there
that.
when the first, I watched the first plane hit the tower.
Yeah. So,
And now they elected them down.
so,
We
speaking of AI, yeah, that's a whole way forgot that day. So let's think about this. So China goes down this road. Now you can't move without that device. It tracks everything you do. It establishes a score for you based on your loyalty and how you talk and who you talk to and where you go and when you do it. For Ricky's case, it was just they wanted to charge her more for chocolate because she's stressed out. In China, if they think that you're speaking ill of the regime, I had too much meat this week, none for you, no burger for you. Your mom's sick, 1,000 miles away, can't travel. You can't spend your money out of this radius because you've been a bad boy or a bad girl. Last Thursday, you thought about speaking ill of the regime in your city, and we detected it. Therefore, you can't travel. And there are some people who are basically homeless because they can't do anything. They can't find a place to live. Their social credit score does not allow them to do that. Okay? So, why are we telling you this? What about why China? Well, China's a mile marker, as Julianna mentioned, for what's coming. And you know how they're going to do it? They've already done it. So, let's get to the good news on this. One, you have to be vigilant. Now you guys understand this is happening and how it got here, right? Boy, I would be all over my representatives at every level asking questions about how the Patriot Act, which seems to linger on and they don't seem to stop much of anything, needs all of this stuff 25 years after the fact, and why they keep funding it. Oh boy, once you unravel that wheel, forget about it. Here's the other good news, and this goes more to Pat's question. So Pat asked, how do I know if I've got a large plant, if my employee is actually my employee? This is one of the beauties of biometrics done in a controlled environment. If you work for a business and that business says, listen, this data is secure. I'll even show you how secure it is. Here's what we're doing. We have to authenticate that it is actually you coming to work and leaving work. Here is how we do that. that meets the requirements of a safe and controlled environment. There is nothing inherently wrong with doing that. As a matter of fact, what the employee begins to understand is how much it protects them, right? There is a protection level in there for the employer and the employee. Again, it's a hammer. You can use it to build a house or knock someone in the head and steal their wallet. Remote interviews and things like that. I talked a minute ago about the role of authenticity director is going to become one of the most sought after roles over the next 5 years. The biometrics for remote interviews and things like that, in and of themselves, the technology functions. Here is the challenge and what has been our biggest concern on that, is that some of the companies that are creating that are backdooring it. And I'll explain what I mean in a second. They are doing this, or they are acting as fronts for other businesses who are sucking up data. So this is a gray area, right? One of the biggest offenders is Zoom. Everybody knows that Zoom is controlled, is a Chinese controlled entity, yes? And they admitted that and that goes over to Guangzhou or Chengdu or wherever they have their data centers and dirty water and all kinds of things. So, there is good there, Pat, but the challenge, I think, is who is running it. The other goods are, with biometrics, they can figure out if you are going to be susceptible to certain diseases. There are more and more cases where cancer is being detected so early that it never has an impact on the person. They're able to solve the problem in advance because all the markers are there. And this stuff has actually been pretty rigorously tested, and its accuracy level is amazing from what we've seen. So there are opportunities in the health space to help us to be healthier longer so you can enjoy quality of life, right, in a way that we couldn't before. Again, it comes down to who operates it. Alex Newman posed a question to us, should Christians be in technology and AI? 1,000% yes. Because if they are, and they move into this space, our abilities to catch disease before we need to quote unquote cure it, change things. This happens, and this is biometrics too, is nanotechnology. If you guys haven't heard, these little nanobots, they're like microscopic robots. So they are dangerous in the sense that they get used for nefarious reasons. Their original design was to repair things at a very intimate level. So what the future proposal is if you buy a new device, say a dishwasher, or a dryer, or a washer, or a fridge, notice how they're all garbage now, right? I could buy a fridge from 1950, that thing would outlive me. But you buy a new one, and 6 months later you got a new one. Since those things break all the time, what they proposed is, well, if they have graphene oxide in them, that a signal can be sent to have those pieces repair themselves. So, you guys are out of your mind. No. Rice University in 2016 did an entire episode on public television on the wonders of graphene oxide and the fact that a Tesla tuning coil set to the right frequency could get graphene oxide to build things.
So those people who took the shot, if they have the graphene inside of them, they use the 5G towers, they can assemble a chip in your body. You don't need to have a chip put in your body. If you took the shot and you've got the wherewithal inside your body, they can just tune the frequency and create a chip, and now you're chipped.
So 10 years ago, a major university showed that with a Tesla tuning coil, you can make graphene oxide do things. 5G towers and beyond are actually tuning coils set to a frequency to do a thing. If you don't believe me, take your phone and buy a tower. And if you watch it closely, you will see it ping said tower. It'll kind of flicker a little bit. That detects that your device is there and they can triangulate your location. Okay? Here's what's crazy. That same technology can be used on cancer in a very particular place to just go to that little spot and destroy it. So no radiation, no killing the right, no burning the body. Just where's it at? Oh, it's between your eyes. Great. We're going to go in there and we're going to fix that for you. Just that one little thing. The technology has the capability to do that and get out. Yet the people who are controlling it today, in large part, are up for what Julianna said. Go ahead, Rick. Hi.
Like the ring, like we're hearing the
Same.
cameras.
Oh, I'm about to get to that.
Security cameras.
I'm about to get to that. Okay, guys, how we doing? Questions? Any other questions? Go ahead, Pat.
biometrics, are they pursuing applications for voter ID to do away with fraud? Is that for the good of us?
They're not gonna do that. You know what, I wish that they would do that, but that would be against their agenda. People keep saying, oh, you know, they're either ignorant or they're complicit. And at this point, you have to say they're complicit, right? Because yes, they could do that, but they're not going to do that.
It's like term limits.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's.
They're never gonna put term limits in because they'll lose their jobs. They don't want to do that.
So
thanks for the straight answer.
Yeah. So, and we've heard all types of manners. Can AI fix it? Can blockchain? Probably not. So, okay. As we continue down the road, everybody. Oh, Keith. Hi. Sorry.
You asked us to specify customer safety.
Statement incoming.
Statement. All of you have grandchildren.
Yep.
Think about what these biometrics are doing. Give your child a chat buddy.
Thank you for doing that, Keith.
Also, put them in front of the TV with these new cartoons. The cartoon,
Yeah,
you don't wanna do
watching
that.
those new cartoons.
You wanna do the old Looney Tunes and stuff like that, but we watch Woody Woodpecker because the new stuff is programming the children, it's hurting them.
Yes, ma'am.
Also, I think something that's very concerning to me is I've been in social services for over 40 years, and these programs are taking the humanism out of those types of programs. We are now dealing with a program that they're trying to implement to take away the hours therapists are working and having them use a predictable program. So cut their hours down from 3 to 2. So of course we're all fighting this, and it's horrible that people don't see.
Tell them the services it is. It's who it's for.
It's for children that are developmentally delayed from birth to 3 years old. So they are, I mean, their families, the whole system was built around family and humanism and compassion. They want to take all that away. It's horrendous.
So, Keith, thank you for bringing it up, because this is one of the reasons we partnered with Florida Citizens Alliance on the AI and Education Symposium to fight exactly what you said, Keith, so I'm glad that you said that. But to this, though, you know, we were talking about things are downstream from other things. In order to get a society to tip over to being complicit and technocratic in its nature, you have to break the wills of the people. How do you do that? You make the quality of services so bad that people will beg for an AI alternative to just fix the problem. Does this sound familiar to anybody?
Yes.
You can't go anywhere today and not say, man, the service, what happened? Why is this so bad? I'd rather not do that. Gotcha. That's how they get you. They just drip on you, and they drip on you, and they drip on you. Don't let them do it. Okay, let's keep rolling, because Ricky brought up a great thing. So let's talk about the tracking grid. Anybody got an Amazon Ring? The Ring cameras.
It was there before I got there.
When we get back home, I'm throwing ours out.
It's still there.
So, Ring, everybody knows, Amazon bought Ring. You guys remember the story of Ring? The guy was actually on Shark Tank and they told him no. It was $1 billion business.
The idea wasn't good.
And they said that idea was no good. Surprise. So Amazon has partnered with a company called Flock AI. Has anyone heard of Flock AI before? Oh boy. You know where this is going, don't you?
I think.
Okay. Hang on. So Flock AI is a surveillance company that specializes in tracking license plates and other behavior, but they don't save the data. Oh yeah. These guys are, I mean, they are the worst. That's on record. You can actually share that. These guys are something else. So they said, hey, the way to help people is to track license plates and their neighborhoods and where they go and who they are, but not their name. Remember I told you guys I don't need your name, I just need your device ID and I know exactly who you are, what you're gonna do. So Flock just said, hey, but we're gonna help because tracking those license plates is critical. We're gonna stop traffic accidents and we're gonna give you a ton of tickets. And one of the municipalities in the Midwest, they wrote like 1,100 tickets in a month based on Flock AI, tracking license plates. Right? And then who do you fight? AI got you, it has to be right. So that's Flock AI. So Flock and Ring have decided to partner to move deeper into law enforcement. Okay, so Ring cameras. Helps you when you're not home, right? Somebody's probably gonna get a Ring call while we're in the room today. It's gonna be someone you don't want. You'd be like, hey, go away, I got a shotgun, leave, okay? Sounds good on the surface. Here's the thing that they snuck in on you. They've created a surveillance web in your neighborhood. You guys see, hey, your neighborhood camera. Hey, this happened down the street from your house. Man, it's like surveillance capitalism. It's like, oh my God, this is like a reality show. See how they get you hooked, right? So now you've got this web of neighborhood cameras. And what happened, Amazon decided it would be a good idea to partner with law enforcement to get more federal government money for surveillance video. Of course, with your permission, which you probably give in the terms and conditions that you don't read. No.
Notice they're not asking for money anymore for climate change. You know why they're not asking money for climate change? Because you can't build a bunch of data centers that create all this heat if you're for climate change. So that narrative just kind of started to disappear a few years ago. That's why.
So, Flock and Ring get together. So now you have the ultimate surveillance net come together. You got the guys who are tracking everything out here, and then when it comes to your front door. That's the proposal. The red box, I'll read to you. Here's the most important part. The relationship will enable law enforcement officers to directly request video evidence from Ring cameras, but citizens will make the decision as to whether to share video. Police requests will go into what is called the Ring Neighbors feed. The Ring Neighbors feed already exists. It is surveillance capitalism, just like we just talked about. Because you want to know what's going on down the street, and if you have the Ring app, it constantly bothers you with something that's 5 miles away because it thinks it's important, but that's not really the goal. The goal is to get you hooked into this thing like another social media feed so that you use it a lot and you become more willing to share. Let me focus on the part about citizens making the decision to share the video. Okay, and I didn't mention this when we did phones, so I'm going to tie this together for you guys. Were you aware that the apps on your phone share data with each other? Okay, so far so good. Were you aware that you gave permission for that to happen when you bought your phone and you turned it on?
No.
When you didn't read the terms and conditions? Because you just wanted to scroll through them and get through them like we all do, because I'm guilty of it too? That's exactly what you did. That is why, back to a prior question, you look at something or see something or have a conversation and it seems to follow you everywhere on all of your apps. That's why. Because they're all tracking each other. Okay.
Statement.
Yes.
It's almost like the things you talk about a lot of the time, like when stuff is advertised to you in your phone and stuff, you have conversations about that you never really even asked your phone to get. It'll just come up on your thing about all stuff you're into.
Oh, wait till you guys go home tonight. Oh boy. They're going to be like, discover the conspiracy. But that whole thing, citizens will make the decision. You've already made the decision. You have a Ring camera that you agree to the terms and conditions on. You've already given permission. You don't even realize it.
But it gives the app.
So wait, I had a question. As far as like where it says citizens will make the decision whether to share video, you're saying that already is made when you.
Now they won't tell you that on the surface. They say, we're always going to ask you. And then they'll forget one time and something. Oh, but look, we stopped the criminal. Oh, awesome. Great. Yeah, you guys just, yeah.
But how does that affect like your rights as a person as well? Like let's say, something happened in the block and they knew they passed your house with a camera and now they come to your house like, we want this surveillance, and you go, no.
So this is all part of gaslighting. They're telling you now that you'll have the right to tell them yes or no, but the fact of the matter is that you won't.
What rights?
They're lying.
You agreed, but it says that little thing comes up, agreed, you agreed, and you didn't read it all. You agreed, but you accepted.
So what is the purpose of that message that every now and then comes up and says, are you willing to share the data while the app is on or while it's off?
Yes, I'll come to you in a second. I saw your hand. Okay. So Pat, great question. What Pat is asking about is occasionally you will get a pop-up from one of your apps asking if you're okay with it sharing your location or data just when you use it or all the time.
Yeah, what drives it?
What drives that is that they have a time clock in the terms and conditions that says every so often they have to ask for your continued consent. Now sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, depending on the level of app. Some folks on the up and up, the app will actually do it at the regular intervals, and you can change it, and it will impact how that app engages with you. Well, there are some instances where they will. Okay, that they actually follow their own rules. There are others that are like the old analogy of the elevator. You guys remember this? So that closed door button doesn't actually work. They just put it there so you feel better about getting the door closed faster. They'll make you think that when you hit this thing, true story by the way, most elevators, the close button doesn't work. It just lights up and occasionally you get lucky, right? But for the most part they don't work. They're just there as a catharsis for you to feel better about the fact that doors don't close faster. Sorry, Ricky, I can see on her face, she's like, oh my God, my whole life. Yes ma'am, go ahead.
We're in a condo complex and some of the neighbors have ring cameras.
We have a
So we didn't agree to be surveilled. So I'm wondering, in the condo docs, if it says something like, that you can't have cameras unless there's, people sign off on it. I mean, is it legal for them to have these ring cameras? And
I would go to your association.
Yes.
And push on it. Chances are you won't win the battle, but at least you'll start saying, hey, I really don't want anybody having ring because I didn't say that they can, have my permission to take pictures of me.
So I'm so glad you brought this up. This actually points to the solutions part, because we're going to talk about things you can do, right? But it's so great that you brought it up the way you did. We live in a condo complex too. And one of my questions is, because our ring cameras, before they go in the garbage next week, is that their range, I can see my neighbor's front doors and they can see mine. Where does it begin and where does it end? Well, here's a way that you can fight. You have a wedge issue right now. You go back to your HOA and say, wait a minute, I don't have one of these, nor did I ever agree for my property to be on camera. What are our rules about this? That's probably an opportunity for you to establish the rules and at least limit the scope of those cameras and make everybody comply. Because right now, they don't know what they don't know. And by the way, Flock AI, super fancy, a couple weeks ago, they had a data breach. Here's how bad it was. These are the people that are supposedly being safe with your license plate data and everything else. It was on an open website. It became Netflix for stalkers. They could see everything going on all over the country with people. Stalkers were just going around saying, I want to track this person. All the data was just hanging out there, right? So you actually have a win, even if you lose, because you said you'll probably lose, but you've already set the standard, and then your next call is to the media. Hey, we got a problem in my condo complex, man, surveillance capitalism. Well, now you guys have a winning issue. That's one of the great ways for you to actually push back, because if somebody's going to use one of these things, the scope should be limited to their property, right?
So I just have one comment
Yes, ma'am.
about going back to going along with the narrative.
Yes.
Dr. Robinson, we don't know if that was all part of their narrative. Oh, we find this camera, ring camera photo, it's gotta be him. It all goes along with what they're trying to.
What's the standard line they use? We can't comment on ongoing investigations. Isn't that what they always say?
We don't know our investigation.
Right. Yes, you're right, in the sense that there are so many moving parts there that one ring camera with surveillance footage that gives us maybe a 40% chance that it's actually the assailant. And you can't, and this is the thing, right? Again, whoever's operating it, if there are good people operating these things, we stand a better chance of solving problems, right? Because the same thing we're talking about right now, imagine being able to track and triangulate a mass shooter and stopping them 3 blocks before they get there. Works great if the right people are doing it. Yes, it is. How are we doing, guys? Everybody good so far? Any questions on biometrics? Okay.
Some guy just tried to give me a ring camera out there.
Oh, did you munch him? Can I go punch him? By the way, anybody in the room an Eagles fan? Good, you're going to lose today. I'm a Niner fan. So,
you said earlier that part of the bigger plan is right, wrong, replacing majority rules. So, what's going on in New York, they talked about the individual want versus the collective need. So the HOA comes in and says, we don't care what your individual unit wants. The entire complex, this is for the collective, this is for the safety.
right. So Pat brings up a great question about what does collectivism look like in this world, right? This then becomes a high ground conversation. When we first started Rip from the Headlines, we covered a case of a guy who created a crypto for somebody else, who was the black sheep of the Disney family. He's doing 8 years in jail because the government was convinced that he was the one who lied about it, when after going through thousands of pages of court documents and depositions, the guy's innocent. But they were going to make an example out of him because the government wants to pick winners and losers in crypto.
because they want to control crypto completely. That's what we're looking at now, right, with Trump. Programmable money, I don't care if it's XRP, Bitcoin, whatever.
So I'm going to continue, because I want to play this out for you guys. So the high ground conversation becomes important. The government got the high ground on crypto years before anybody knew what it even was. They set the precedent for what the rules and laws would be, and what ended up happening in the case that we covered and subsequent cases is that they've eroded the Sixth Amendment of the Constitution. That's the right for you to face your accuser and to question them. It's almost non-existent now. The courts decide what evidence, because in the case of Randall Crater, the case we're talking about, there was a witness with exonerating evidence. So what the prosecution did is they put him on the witness list, they didn't call him, then they dropped him and didn't tell the defense. This guy was in a deposition, it's on record, said, everything you say he did, I did. And I will go to court and I will testify on the stand he's innocent. Never made it to court.
Our judicial system and Congress is working together against us. They're complicit in making sure that they're getting done what they want to get done and keeping the little person, right? They set precedent after precedent with different cases, right? To finally get to Randall Crater. It took a couple of different cases when they tried this person, got them guilty, tried this person, got them guilty. They're like, okay, we have enough precedents now, we can go after him.
Yeah. So Pat, this kind of comes around to your thing. If we're not fighting now to get the high ground and set precedent for what is right and wrong, the other side of this equation will create a collectivist type of society where the HOS says, well, for the greater good, we don't care about you. Well, if there's no precedent of people fighting this, the court's going to say, okay. But if we fight and we do those things, Percy talks too much. Percy talks too much. But you set precedent, then we at least have a chance. And that's what we really need. Okay. All right, guys. So the plane is circling. Let's talk a little bit about where it leads. So let's say that we're all here together today, and we're enjoying our fellowship. Like, I'm going to do something about it. Let's say that you decide not to. So where does this ultimately lead if we don't do things? Well, it leads to things like ectolife, artificial wombs. Okay? Right? It leads to the future of fertility, which does not involve the natural process of having a baby. We can just take some cancer cells and...
So I just want to make this really clear. They can take one person and one cell out of that person and create a baby. They can take 8 people and splice the cells and make a baby. And they don't need a female, they don't need a husband or wife, they can do it on their own.
It's a clone.
It's a clone. Okay? But we're at the point now where they're like, we don't need women because we can make babies without them. So when we talk about the war on women, okay, so back in the 60s, you know, they were able to get the husbands out of the house. They were able to get the women out of the house. Now they're coming for the children. And we need to see exactly what they're doing. This situation right here, you want to talk about transhumanism and what they're going to do and using us as guinea pigs? This is really, really scary.
And I will note, because I know people are taking pictures, so I'll take a second to note that in the ectolife image there on the left, you notice that it's a baby in a pod. How many people saw The Matrix? What did they have the people in The Matrix?
A pod. Oh. Hollywood's been telling you this for decades before.
I think that's the good people that are in Hollywood that they can't directly tell you, so they try to hint you because of their own guilt.
You guys gotta come on the road.
Actually, the Satanists believe that if they tell us and we comply, that it's our fault and they won't have to deal with the consequence of it. So they're telling us what they're doing. We've just been so, you know, quiet about what's happening and not realizing that they are telling us what's going on.
Until they fix the law, that it doesn't matter what we say.
Aha. Right. So let's take a look. We talk about where it leads, right? So we did a story summer of last year about lab-grown human bodies. Bodyoids is what they call them. So you weren't supposed to know about this. The goal was, hey, we're sick of abusing animals and using those for experiments and taking a heart out of a pig and trying to put it in a human. Why don't we just grow human parts? Now, it won't be a sentient being. It'll have arms and legs and hearts and guts and all these other things. And then we can simply just harvest through. So the fake humans are going to be created for spare parts. Clinical experiments, because, you know, poor Peter Cottontail, why would we do that to that poor bunny when we could just create something that's human, and it's probably going to end up having feelings and things because God is the creator of all things. And then you're going to do this, right? Harvest organs, do all these great things. Now on the surface, some people have told us, well, at least I'd have a human heart. Are you sure? Because what are they creating them from? Cancer cells and stuff like that. Please don't eat lab-grown meat. Lab-grown meat comes from cancerous cells. Okay, great. That's what I should put. So, the other thing that these folks suggested was a great idea. It's like, hey, well that stuff after, like we can just feed it to people, it's fine. People food. It's good. Those body oils, we will let those parts go to waste. You guys remember Soylent Green? Yeah. Didn't think that was coming. Right? But this is where things lead, guys, if we don't act. And this isn't us just making it up. We spent hours and hours researching these stories and sharing them over the last couple of years for this very reason and this very time, so that good folks like yourself know what comes. And you can go tell everybody, because if you're here, you're awake enough to know that something's wrong. This is for you to be empowered to go tell people who aren't that they need to do something. Okay? So, WorldCoin. Everybody know what ChatGPT is? Yeah. Okay, OpenAI created that product. Yes, everybody remembers? A guy named Sam Altman is the founder and chief thief of OpenAI. Stole it, turned it into a for-profit business. That's another story. So, in his infinite wisdom, he and some partners decided, you know what we need to do? We need to create a cryptocurrency for poor people. And we need to give it to them so that they can live and things can be good. Right? So, they said, great, let's do it. Let's start with third world countries and let's go help these people. Right? And we're going to do it, and we're going to validate their identity with a big orb that scans their iris to verify it's them. And then we'll give them some crypto. We'll give them some gold. So, when you got to the root of the story, after all the flu goes away, Sam Altman in true Sam Altman fashion. If you have not seen his interview with Tucker Carlson, I strongly recommend you watch it. You want to see a glitch in the Matrix? The guy goes to answer a question, he's like, Peter Thiel, they can't answer because, right, the demon is there. They're getting cornered and they can't deal with it. So, when you read what Altman said, you get down to this part here, it says the goal or the potential path is to AI-funded universal basic income. Aha! Oh, very good. So, World ID, which the company describes as a digital passport to prove that its holder is a real human and not an AI bot. Pat, this is why I was saying this initiative. Okay. To get a World ID, the customer signs up to do an in-person iris scanning using WorldCoin's orb, a silver ball approximately the size of a bowling ball. Once that iris scan happens, and we know it's a real human, you connect to World ID, you're on the grid, you get your shadows. So, right? Okay, so here's what we said at that time. We said they're doing it in third world countries. There's video of people lining up to get this. If you do not stop them, it will be across the United States in no time at all. I submit to you, I submit to you that in May of last year, WorldCoin announced its flagship location in San Francisco, and there is the mayor of San Francisco with 2 WorldCoin orbs, just like we said, because it didn't get stopped. Now then, Julianna did a lot of work on a subsequent story to this about the nation of Vietnam.
Oh boy.
Vietnam decided that everyone had to be authenticated to keep their bank accounts.
And 84 million people lost their bank accounts because they refused to become part of the system. 84 million. Our banks are ready to take this cryptocurrency. It literally is a flip of the switch, and that's it. RC and I are about to do a huge expose. We're getting Steve Bannon involved, a lot of people involved, different organizations, and saying, if we do this expose, will you back us? And here's the reason why we're going to do this expose. We live in a 15-minute city, okay? It's just a matter of time before they flip on the switch. I had an in-person conversation with my, what was he? City Congress?
Commissioner, thank you.
City Commissioner. He stood in front of me at an event and told me, as he's putting on his bike helmet, and I don't mean motorcycle helmet, I mean bike helmet, okay? And he says to me, it took me 35 minutes to bike here. Altamont Springs will have driverless cars. People will not have their own cars anymore. Don't bother buying an auto reply, store, because you won't need to have that because there'll be no accidents anymore. All 7 of our commissioners have signed on for this. Like literally, we're in the busiest intersection of Altamont Springs. Our city manager had Uber launched in my city, in a tiny city of Altamont Springs. Okay, this is not Orlando, this is a tiny city. Why? Because our city manager, Frank Martz, is 100% a globalist. We're now trying to fight him because he's making all the decisions for everything that happens. And it's just a matter of time that they're gonna tell me, I can't have a car, I can't drive it, I'm gonna have programmable money, I'm only gonna be able to buy a certain amount of things, I'm only gonna be able to travel to a certain amount of areas, right? Because I live in an open air prison. That's what it's called, an open air prison, right? We are all in it.
Yes, good.
So, I'm originally from Mass, just don't hold that against me. However, the Massachusetts legislature trying to pass a law where you are limited to how many miles you can drive your car.
Exactly. About the miles, yes, because they want to control travel.
And that's exactly.
So you likely.
If you want to live rural and drive to the city, and I did that for years.
Oh, they're gonna get you.
You're not gonna be able to, you're gonna have to live very close to where you're from.
You're absolutely right. So a couple of things here. You are probably, this is Collier County, right?
Yes.
Your county is probably already a Vision Zero county, which is the precursor to the 15-minute city. So Vision Zero reports no traffic accidents by 2040. The way they get there is they take all the cars off the road. But the reason they're going to do it is so silly that you guys will appreciate this. The reason they're doing it is because traffic is racist and systemically unjust with all of those traffic counts. Not from us, from them. Their own words from their own site, that is Vision Zero. Almost every county in Florida is already one. The cities are taking it on. So, did your wastewater get tested for COVID-19 here? They tested everybody's wastewater. Do you know where that started?
Altamont Springs.
Florida. First city in the country to do it, then became a model for the rest of the nation.
When they talk about that we're free in Florida, it's like, no, we're not.
People are constantly saying that the red states, but people come down here and they bring their blue state stuff with them. They don't understand that with what you're talking about in Texas, they're doing this in the red states. Around us, we're Lee County, but barely, we're just over the border. There are 5 huge conglomerate condo buildings going up around us, and all right in that building area are the grocery stores and everything they need right there. And I talk about it constantly, people go, okay, yeah, sure. That's exactly what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing.
By City Hall, it's 450 homes. There's this huge piece of property, 11 acres. I went to say, hey, I want to buy that 11 acres. I wanted to put up a community resource center called The Lab, right? And Frank Martz, again, the city manager, was like, nope, we're putting up a high-rise. And you can see why, because across the street was the Metro. Well, no, the Metro. They were going to do a mixed use in this area. People can barely get onto the main avenue to begin with. There's 450 homes right there. And they're going to make a unit with 342 apartments in it. And the people are going, we don't want that. We want a community resource center. There's plenty of us in the community to be able to have a resource center. Why are you bringing in this multi-use? They don't care. They don't care. Frank Martz actually told me that his people work with DeSantis' people, whether DeSantis knows it or not. And this guy is 100% a globalist.
We have 2 big so-called mixed use, the big facilities that are going up in Estero, and we're not that big as far as population goes, but that's what they're doing. And they're building up. There's ordinances that they're going up, and I think they're huge.
That's what we're doing, the huge expose. We're like, you know what? We're standing in the middle of a 15-minute city. We're going through all this. We see, and as a market research company, we're just going to put our necks on the line. When Charlie Kirk was shot, my son, who's a gun instructor and a gunsmith, walked through my door, and the first thing he said was, you need armor. You are just as much, putting yourself out there. But at this point, it's just like Andrew said at church this morning, we have to do that. And if I'm killed, I'm killed. But you know what? I have to take a stand. As a market research company, right? As an advocacy company, who else is going to stand up and say, we need to expose what's going on right here in our little city?
Yeah, so let me do this before we move on. So those areas, these high rises, these kind of urban things, right? You know, they call them live, work, plays. You guys seen that live, work, play? Do you guys know where that came from?
That's old.
In the Soviet Union,
That's old.
when you came out your door, there were signs to tell you where to live. Yes, Keith.
Most of you are calling your Lee County, right? You know who led that effort last year?
Can you speak up?
Yeah.
Most of you are calling your Lee County. I think it was 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
You know who led the effort for work where you live? Senator Pasadena.
Shocker.
FTM, follow the money. All right, so we set the stage for that for a reason. And we told you guys earlier that this isn't a left-right, conservative, liberal, progressive issue. And we're about to prove it to you. Okay? So we talked about where it leads. Here's where we stand now. You guys may remember in the One Big Beautiful Bill, they tried to get a provision in to put an AI moratorium on the states. Translated, Florida would not be able to create its own AI legislation. This is a battle that we fight with our friends at Florida Citizens Alliance to this day. Okay? So it failed there. Okay? It didn't get through. Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee stood up in the Senate, stared down Ted Cruz and said, not on my watch. And basically it worked out. Well, Josh Hawley, the senator from Missouri, comes back in and says, hey, battle's not over. They're going to try to sneak it into the National Defense Authorization Act as a must-vote bill. Government shutdown happens. Eventually, they don't get it through. So I want you to keep in mind when you see the next image, I want to give you some context. President Trump gets into office. J.D. Vance is his vice presidential candidate. That was a transaction that led to another series of transactions. You have to understand, J.D. Vance was a compromise for the oligarchs, the techno guys, Peter Thiel, all these guys, right? To get that money, J.D. Vance represents their position. You are in a position where tech oligarchs are trying to control everything. NASA's universe in Silicon Valley. You'll hear us talk a lot about Peter Thiel, with good reason. He is at the core of this, but there are many others around him. Alex Karp is the CEO of Palantir, the surveillance company that Peter Thiel co-founded, and which now has billions in government contracts to surveil you. As a matter of fact, they partnered with Flock AI too. Highlight the notes. Okay.
Trump has made his buddies all very wealthy.
So David Sachs, if this name sounds familiar to you, David Sachs is the AI czar for the White House. Also, PayPal Mafia, tech oligarch. So, stopped it legally, but then this happened. That's Trump signing an executive order to stop states from creating their own AI legislation.
Wow.
And when you look at who's with him, that guy there on the right is David Sachs. The guy next to him is Howard Lutnick, Secretary of Commerce. Howard Lutnick was Jeffrey Epstein's next door neighbor. Howard Lutnick is the guy that bailed Trump out of bankruptcy. You know who the guy next to Trump is, don't you?
Yeah.
That's Ted Cruz and then some other tech guy who's incredibly dangerous. So, this was signing day for the executive order. Now, is this thing going to work out? Probably not, but this shows you what happens when they're on schedule. The people who are trying to do these things will do whatever it takes to get it done.
The biggest 911 I got was from my girlfriend Jan Edwards. She runs Paving the Way, which is all about educating kids about human trafficking. And I'm like, please explain to me why you're so upset about what's happening with the AI moratorium. And she said to me, we have laws that protect the children right now. And if the federal government does what it wants to do, it will handicap, it will tie our hands in being able to protect the children. You're about to make the children vulnerable. And I was like, got it. Now I know why this is so dangerous. Why is it that people are pushing it? Why was it signed? How is it that our federal government doesn't understand what's going on?
So we asked a very practical question. We said, okay, one, when has the federal government been good at doing anything? Okay, you got the Affordable Care Act, you know how you got that? Big Health wrote the bill. Who do you think's gonna write the AI moratorium bill? Big Tech. Oh, you don't want those guys writing the bill. So they're gonna write it for them and not for you. But we said, hey, listen, if there needs to be a federal network of some type of, okay, we get it, but why wouldn't you go to the states and say, hey, here's what we're thinking about. We want to get your input collectively on stuff that you already have on the books so we can work on something that makes sense. The White House would have gotten almost instant buy-in from everyone to go ahead and move forward because he asked, hey, I want you guys to be a part of this process. Whether he used it or not didn't matter. Just the fact that he asked to say, this looks good, we should take this, we should do that, and do that. Okay, guys, here's what we propose. It comes from the states. That thing's going to walk through. Because the states, which is the way this is supposed to go, the states tell the feds what to do, not the other way around, but you see where this is going. And we asked the question, why didn't that happen? You know what we got? Crickets. You know why? Because that wasn't the plan. All right, everybody good? You guys are doing great here.
It is 3:30, we have 30 minutes left.
Yeah,
Okay, awesome.
all right, so how does this happen? We've actually created a simple infographic to show you. All right, there are 4 levels of government. You may have heard this before, if not, I will walk you through it real quick. First level is self-government. The logic is if you govern yourself with the proper biblical worldview and moral compass, you will be a good person and do the right things at the right time and help people and do all the stuff we're supposed to do, right? Everybody good so far? Okay, the next level is family government. The logic being if you govern yourself, then you will govern your family accordingly. Therefore, your family will contribute to society and do all of the good things with the proper biblical worldview and moral compass. Everybody good so far? Then there is the ecclesia government. Logic being, if you govern yourself and your family, the church government will operate in the way that it should and step into its role as intended, which is to support the community. That is not the government's job. Everybody agree? Awesome. And that little triangle at the top, if you can't read it, says civil government. Logic being, if you, your family, and the church government all work the way they're intended, there is very little need for civil government because everyone is doing everything they're supposed to do. Makes sense, right? Doesn't feel like that, does it? No. You know why? The triangle got turned upside down. That is why you are living in a more totalitarian state than either you probably realize or you want to believe. That's something personal against you, because I don't want to believe it either. But it is true because we're out of Father's order. He gave us the order. That's biblical. All that stuff is biblical. Right? So that's how things like this happen. Remember what we told you at the beginning? The reason that people are afraid of AI? We're out of order. And this is what happens when we're out of order, and we are not the ones setting the tone and temperature in the culture. The people in this room, we should be out there setting the tone and temperature. People should be looking at us and saying, that's how I need to model myself. When we don't do that, this is what happens. Okay, so what's the solution? We're going to take a couple of minutes, if you guys will entertain us, and talk a bit more about Watchmen action. Okay. So there is a formula to this that we figured out over time with our writing and our teaching and our speaking. Julianna?
So the workbook is composed of 3 components. Number 1 is you need to name the moment. What is your story and what do you want to advocate for? Your story is so unbelievably important, right? And we need to figure out what exactly you're going to advocate for. You can't be just real general, you have to be very specific. So this workbook will actually help you build all this. Part 2 is you have to build a plan. Right? Who's sitting around the table? Who's sitting around the table? Do a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, right? Because what you're doing is an actual, we're building a plan. Your computer is open, you're drawing circles, you're writing things out, you're making phone you've got a group of people, right? And all of you are trying to figure out, okay, what is my story and what exactly are we advocating for? Okay, what exactly is the strategy? And then part 3 is move the needle. What different tools do you need to make sure that if 5 of you are advocating for community garden, let's just say, right, that all of you are doing the things that you need to do to be able to make sure that you get to the goal of where you want to be. Because if there's 5 of you and 1 of you doesn't do their job, it could mess up all 5 of you from doing and reaching your goal. So we literally wrote the workbook because we wanted to say, in 4 hours or less, we would be able to help you build an advocacy plan so that you can go outside your 4 walls of your church or your community or whatever and start doing the things that we're capable of doing, right? The church is they abdicated their role, and we're saying it's time for the church to stand up and get off the couch and do the things that they need to do. We've built an entire workbook to be able to say, hey, we can help you build the advocacy plan so that you can start doing the things that are important to you, your family, and your community.
And it's interesting today, you guys actually went through parts of this process, and it really culminated earlier than we thought. with the whole situation with the HOA. Right there, you have an issue that you can tackle in your own neighborhood. Matter of fact, some of you may already be thinking about who you're gonna go after next to solve that problem, right? This formula we know works, and you guys actually got an opportunity to go through some of this and to understand also what's happening around you, where the opportunities are, where the troubles are. So, people always ask us, okay, RC, great, I feel good, what can I do? Well, we'll go back to where we started. Use your knowledge, resources, and relationships right now.
We have a couple of organizations that are bringing us up in Pennsylvania. They're having us do a bunch of radio hits, and then when we get there, they have 5 different meetings over 5 days, trainings that they're gonna have us do, right? I want to see all the organizations coming together and saying, you know what, we're not going to be waving flags anymore. We need to do more than that. We've got to figure out exactly what is our task. What exactly are we going to tackle? Like, I love what Keith and Ryan are doing because they're very specific about what they're doing. They're very focused on what they're doing. That's how we win, is coming together and saying, this is what we're going to do and get it done.
Be a conduit. So you're not going to be an expert coming out of this, and we don't want you to. Tell people as much as you can remember on what you learned, and then send them on away. Like, oh my God, I saw these 2 crazy people, and oh my God, you just have to hear what they have to say. Oh my God, you're not going to believe this. I can't tell you all of it, but now I know more about AI, and we've got to get to work.
Not only that, but you can go on our Substack. The reason why we have that is so that you can look up things that are important to you. So for example, if you want to talk about, being pro-life, what we've written on it, the war on women, what we've written about it. So when you're having conversations with people, you can say, these are the things that you really need to understand, right? Being ignorant isn't allowed anymore. You need to be educated about what's going on. So now you guys have a resource to be able to say, hey friend, hey husband, hey neighbor, you need to read this because you need to be educated about what's happening because we need to be talking about it as the body of Christ.
So those are the things that you do. And here are our asks of you. So, obligatory but necessary. What we do takes time and resources. Julianna and I have largely self-funded all that we do. To continue to do the things that we need to do, we need to add fuel to the cake. We can certainly use your help however you feel led to provide it. We'll be on the road quite a bit, including those 4 days in Philly. We do a lot of this, and most times when groups can't afford to bring us in, somebody will sponsor them and allow us to come in and train, or they'll take care of materials. If you are moved in the spirit to do so, we would love your support, however you feel led to provide. Help us to build a coalition to do more of this. If you're a part of other groups, or you know your groups, or your friends need to hear us speak about this and you want to help educate them, let us know so we can come back down and see you. We're spending more and more time down here, which we think is a good thing. And we want to reach as many people as possible. So if you're like, hey, listen, I've got 10 in my house, can you come and just talk to them? It's like, sure, when you want us to come, we'll do it. Because we never know what building that conduit is going to do or building a coalition is going to lead to. The reason we're going to Pennsylvania, Bill Allen, who runs the Pennsylvania Integrity Network, saw us on War Room. We were on War Room for 3 minutes in Tampa this past summer, and he said, oh my God, I got to get you guys, I got to get you guys to come. And that turned into 5 events over 5 days. Okay? So it works, you never know.
And we can do that here in Florida.
Yes.
Like it's hurting my heart that Pennsylvania is going, we're hurting, we need to fight, we don't know what to do, you wrote the workbook, come train us so that we can figure out what we need to do. And I'm sitting here in the state of Florida, and I'm sitting, what are we doing? Right? That's the reason why we're going to do the expose and just expose everything that's happening in Altamont Springs in my neighborhood. Right?
Yeah. And if you know a group that needs us or somebody that you like, hey, you guys need to have these people come in, we'd love to see them, just let us know. And with that, guys, that QR code will take you to all the stuff. We're around. Like, we're not going to go anywhere. We're happy to talk to you guys. That QR code will take you to a page that has all the information we discussed today, links to our Substacks, ways that you can support us. And we're here to answer questions. So we landed the plane a little bit early, Carol, Jimmy, but we're happy to take as many questions or have as many discussions as people would like. We are here, and a big thanks to Carol and Jimmy for having us. Guys, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for coming. I think it was very informative. I think everybody's going to walk out of here with a little bit more gasoline in their tank. So
Please be friends with us. Don't run away with your hair on fire.